Community Star. How you doing, sir?
Doing good. Tired. I think we're all tired. How are you doing?
Oh, man, I'm tired too. It was quite the experience over the last couple of days. We've had a lot of stuff moving behind the scenes. So I know the Discord right now is going wild on the token drop we just did. There's a lot of questions, and I thought we'd kind of rehash, give people a little insight before we get really dive into the mechanics of the token itself. Kind of talk about the fun of actually launching a token. And what Billy, how was that for you? How was that experience?
And that was the hardest thing ever. I was like so shaky yesterday. That the scariest part of the whole thing, it wasn't necessarily like can we get it done? It was deploying that contract on the mainnet. Because once you do the deploy, it's like um, you know, it's almost a need to do a deploy. So that's a lot of money you're out right there. But then what if there's a mistake in it? Because that means you have to not only do you have to basically discard that bad contract that you deployed, but also it means that now it's public on the blockchain until the end of time. So now people know that your first contract that you deployed was glitchy, and so it's like a badge of failure. You got to be sitting out there.
Let me totally interject, because for the people that don't know Mike, he's like super proud of his coding skills, and like he's like we're like, hey, let me review this, and he's like, it's not needed. Of course we did, but he's like, you don't need to do this. He was uber confident until the launch, and then we saw him, and he had sleep. I mean, he was in the coding zone and slept, and every little minute detail was going back over. He's like, oh shit, what about this? What about this? What it was quite awesome to see you in that state, man. I don't think I've ever seen you actually knee deep into the coding zone.
Yeah, yeah. It's just there's so many little moving parts to getting one of these projects done. Like especially if you're trying to do like think through everything. It's like
Mm-hmm.
every little bit of code. You're like, do I have a unit test for that? Oh shoot, I don't have a unit test for that. I better whip one up real quick, or else you're just kind of a little bit scared about it. And then the front end, like
Yeah.
the front end's a little bit easier because if there's a mistake, you can just send another version of it over to Malachi and then it'll put it on the website. But on the other hand, like I don't have the rich development environment on the front end that I have on the back end. So like, it's harder for me to be perfect on the front end. So that's why we ended up having the bug is um, because I just didn't have all the unit tests set up like I have for the contract. So it is what it is. But yeah, there's so much to think about.
Have you caught back up on sleep after the benders? Are you back full energy here, or still dragging?
I'm definitely not back full, but I went to bed at a reasonable time last night for the first time in a couple of weeks, so that was nice. It
It's
was
crazy. It's crazy because I've sat in so many token drops, and whether it's just standard or actually NFTs for projects, and you're sitting in the Discord and you're wondering why these things get delayed, and then when you watch it firsthand happen, it's very, very eye opening. And the best part about this is everything's done, and then Villar finds a detail, like some code that's not written the way that he likes it written. And so he's like, people are going to be looking at this. So he wants to go back and fix the structure of the code. Oh man, it was pretty wild to be a part of, for sure.
yeah, I haven't really ever done a like very publicly visible thing like this before. I've
Hmm.
been a programmer for a long time, but it's always for like software that businesses use or something like that. It's not like something where people are actually going to be looking at it. So I definitely got pretty self-conscious as far as that goes, and I probably overdid it a little bit on trying to be perfect. But at the end of the day, I'm super proud. This is probably one of the favorite pieces of software I've ever built in my whole life, if not my favorite. I mean, now I'm getting attached to it. So and then I put some little fun stuff in it, like the cool logo in the contract. So
Yeah,
uh, it's definitely something I'm super proud of. It was pretty hard though, as
yeah,
far as projects go.
yeah. I gotta take a little sidebar here because I want to make sure that everybody can see my swag here. I'm really disappointed that Mal's not joining us today. He's had some other stuff going on. He'll be back on maybe over the weekend, but or next week. But having him, he was about as stressed out and as red as I've seen him ever. And and then we did a call this morning when we were talking with some other folks that are looking to work with us. and I wore this shirt, and that same bright red tint to his face popped up again. He was so angry that I went down and got one of these shirts. It was awesome.
How much did you end up paying for that? For that
This
knockoff?
No, man, this is it, man. I right clicked, man. This is awesome.
Oh, oh wait, did you
man.
make your own?
No, I'm
Oh,
totally
okay.
kidding, man. I went on and I bought it from Etsy for $20, man. I was so pissed.
Oh man.
It makes me feel any better. I've got a couple extra too that I'm gonna pass out.
Nice. At the next whatever live event we go to.
Exactly. All right, dude. Let's dig in on this NFT culture token, because I think a lot of people in Discord are asking about it, and what it is. So, Bill, high level for you, and then I'll kind of chime in. What is the token for you?
So I'll just chime in from the tech perspective. Just keep it super clear. So the three main things that I was trying to achieve with this contract, besides not messing it up or breaking stuff, is it has expandable artwork. So the initial drop has 6 pieces in it that you can mint, and then 3 pieces that you can forge, and then 1 special piece. So that's 10 pieces total. But we can add pieces into the collection at a later date. So that was kind of the first thing I was trying to do. Is I just got it in my head that it would be cool for the collection to be a little bit more dynamic. We didn't do generative art with this, so there's fewer pieces than a generative art project. But eventually that 10 can grow. And I don't know where it's going to grow to. Like this could be something we're playing with for years, and it could grow to hundreds of pieces, as far as I know. So really, this is kind of just version 0.1 of what the collection ultimately will be. So that was kind of the first thing. And then the second thing is, a lot of projects have talked about forging, and a lot of projects are trying to do forging, and there's been a handful of projects that actually did forging. But I wanted to do forging like in the original drop contract. So that was kind of something that I didn't really know if it would be totally possible, but I just had an idea that I wanted to have it in the contract. The way I think normal people do forging is you have your original contract, and then you do an add-on contract that references that original contract. So like an example of that would be the system that they did for Bored Apes, the mutant serum. So basically you have your original Bored Ape contract, and then you have the mutant contract, and then you have a serum contract. So they're actually doing it with 3 contracts. They're definitely on the advanced end of the nifty development. So I usually will look at what they do and take apart what they do. But I wanted the forging to be available right at launch, and I wanted it to be in the contract. So we haven't really turned it on with anybody yet or let anybody use it yet, but I can assure you it is definitely in there. The kind of main reason why we haven't turned it on is because I think we need time to do videos like this and kind of socialize the ideas of how it works, and have people wrap their head around how it works first before people just go and do it because they're excited. So that was kind of the second thing I wanted to do, is have the day one forging built into it. And then the third thing is kind of I would say something I came up with as a harebrained scheme late in the project, which is this idea of burn minting. So, I love the idea of forging, because then you kind of like can it's like crafting in online games, which has always been my favorite part of a lot of online games. So it's a little bit of gamification. But the one thing that kind of sucks about it is, you pay quite a bit of ETH for these art pieces. And then when you forge them and it burns the 2 art pieces, you get a third piece that better be cooler than those first 2. So that's kind of a little bit of a challenge of it. But you lose your first 2, which you may have really liked. Like I personally really like the silver pieces, even though for whatever reason people they're more common, but I really like them personally. But with normal forging schemes, you lose those original pieces, and so that's always kind of been at the back of my mind as something that I don't necessarily really love about the forging system. And so I was trying to think of some way that we could kind of lessen that blow. Like I'm one of those people where when I play, again, I'm doing the online game comparison, but when I play the online game, it pisses me off if you lose experience, and it pisses me off if when you die, and it pisses me off when you die if you lose all your stuff. Like that just makes me scared. So
You were never
I'm
a Diablo hardcore player, I could tell,
never
man.
hardcore, exactly.
Ah, weak.
But
All right.
so but that's just kind of how I am. So the idea of forging and then losing the original two pieces I don't necessarily love. So I wanted to kind of try to come up with some way of softening that blow.
Mhm.
So that's when I came up with this idea of burn minting. So the way that works is if you forge something, it burns the original two pieces and then it actually mints a new piece, but it doesn't add it on to the 3333 in the collection. What it does is it picks the piece that had the lowest ID number and then it puts it into that slot. So if you have two items and you forge one item, you end up with one item that's in the lower numbered slot. Or if you forge three when we have the fourth character ready, if you do the character forging and you forge three characters, it'll burn all three, and then the fourth character will go in the first slot. So that means that if you forge two, you have one open slot now in the collection, and if you forged did the character forging, you would have two open slots in the contract. So what I actually do behind the scenes is I register your address as the owner of that open spot. It's only in the contract, and places like OpenSea they have no understanding of this ownership of nothing. But in the Nifty Culture contract, you actually own nothing when you burn a token. And so what can happen in the future, what that enables is this idea of burn minting. So what burn minting is it's like a mint function, except it's only going to successfully complete if you call the mint function on a slot that was open because you burned something previously. So now people are going to ask, well, what is it that you mint? Is it just one of the original mint pieces? And the actual answer to that is no, because I wanted the original mint pieces to have a little bit of a special place. So those mint pieces, when the sale is over and we've sold all the pieces, that will be the most of those mint pieces that will ever exist. No one will ever be able to create those again. So eventually those could drop down to be just as rare as anything else. But what you can burn is new pieces that are added into that original. My very first point is the expandable art collection. So the reason why the expandable art collection is important is because I have to expand the collection beyond the original mint pieces so that later when someone goes to do a burn mint, they will have a piece to pick from. So what will happen is you'll pick one of those pieces from the expandable collection, and then you'll be able to mint that into your burn slot. So there's still a few details we have to work out exactly, like whether we do some airdrops for some of these slots, or how exactly we control what pieces people can pick, because we definitely don't want it to be one of those things where everybody can just pick anything at any time, and it kind of becomes more wild west. It's going to be something a little bit more curated, I think, where like at the end of the month, or say beginning of the month, we'll have a piece ready and people can just choose, oh, I really like that piece, I want to use that for my burn slots. Because the only way you can ever get a burn slot is you have to burn something that you own. So yeah, I think it'll just open up an interesting dynamic. I literally have no idea how the whole thing's going to be received, but I feel like we have a long time to play with this thing because it's going to be there till the end of time, and so we'll kind of just see where it goes. I'm hoping the community really kind of gets involved in setting the direction on that.
Yeah. So, the tech aside, man, so we've got this token out there now. And, I was talking to Malachi about this. Now is when the real fun begins, where we actually get to start driving value back to the folks in the community and growing together. So this really was a true community token. We want everybody that owns one to be part of our growth as a company, as guys that are going to be here and dedicated to the space. So, as we have people that come through our Discord, and they become more successful, we become more successful, and all that kind of funnels back and to what we hope is a growing community, and that growth is captured. Hopefully, at least the intent is in the token. So, I know a lot of people are wondering, It's always a question, when return, when moon, things along those lines. And this really is a utility token. So it's up to us. You're betting on us, and we appreciate that. Everybody involved, we really do. And you guys, a lot of you guys have seen us grow from the very start, and the growth has been overwhelming for, I think, everybody involved on the team, and we really, really appreciate that. And we're really looking forward to the next steps, and I think you guys are going to be pleasantly surprised with some of the stuff that we do with the token. Almost pretty in the near term, and I think it's going to cause some waves for folks. So, yeah, man, that's my my take on the culture coin. It really is about community. So, Mike.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. Like,
Yeah,
crypto in general,
it's super exciting.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, and NFTs in general are super exciting. I think one of the things that I really wanted to kind of set out and do with Nifty Culture is make an environment where people who are new to the space can be welcomed and have a positive experience. Like, it's so confusing, and I think that's probably why a lot of people just saw the booms of all the time, of all the booms that have happened in the past, and it's just really hard to get into. And then everybody inevitably goes through that phase where they're like, Bitcoin's a joke or whatever, and it's just gonna it's not backed by anything. Everybody always has these like stages that they go through. It's like we've all been through every single one of those stages of every single questioning, and I think Nifty is kind of in the middle of that. And so I just kind of want to have a place where come here, come see what Nifties are all about. Ask your questions that we've all already asked and are all already kind of come up with the answers to on our own. But I just kind of wanted to make a welcoming space for new people. I think that's kind of a niche that isn't necessarily there in crypto, just because people are so like war weary from having to explain to the 10th person about oh, it's just a JPEG that you can copy and it's worth $65,000 or whatever. It's like, yeah, I mean, you can distill it down to something silly like that. But really, it's just so much more. It's, a way for people who create cool things to get in touch with the people that consume cool things, and create a kind of an ecosystem with which both parties can benefit, because both parties have an incentive to make the ecosystem better, and there's good alignment. So, and that's definitely what we set out to do with Nifty Culture Token, is like, we want to have something where it's not just about it's not just about utility. It's about like people can have a badge in their profile that says, I'm part of Nifty Culture, which is a community that's moving Nifties forward, and it is a bedrock of the community. So that's really kind of what my goals were with the project.
Cool. Mike, what are you doing over this extended weekend?
Man, I'm going to be sleeping.
Yeah. Recharging.
I need some rest, and I got to get right back at it, because we need to like finish up the front end for the forgings, and probably work on some more clear explanations. Like, Malachi and I reviewed that launch site's explanation like 10 times, and we thought it was great, but clearly we didn't do a good job of answering all the questions. But it's a complicated scheme, and the burn minting scheme is even more complicated. So I think it's going to take a while for us to really be able to explain it very well. But once people can kind of get their hands on it and try it, and people will see like how it evolves the collection, I think it'll become a lot more clear.
Yeah, maybe one of the things we do for next stream is we do it. We do one ourselves, right? Let them watch and see how it's done. We would throw that up over the weekend. What do you think?
Yeah, I was thinking I have the contract on the test network too, so I was thinking we can probably do some streams of us doing the mints on the test network. I don't necessarily, I can turn it on and do the forging on the main network. I'm just really worried that if we turn it on and the way I had to do the ID numbers is a little bit screwy and counterintuitive. So if someone goes in there and wants to mint, and then they accidentally, or wants to forge, and they don't know how it works, they might do their ID numbers wrong, and then it'll forge the wrong two pieces that they didn't intend to forge.
Yeah.
So I just want to make sure people kind of understand it and how it works before I turn people loose. But yeah, we can do it on the test net, and I think that would be really helpful for people to be able to understand. Because if you just watch me do some forging, it becomes perfectly clear what's going on.
Okay. All right, man. Well, let's do it then. Let's plan on getting a video up this weekend, and we'll demo how to do it and let everybody know what they can do with their tokens right now. And then, like I said, the fun starts now, and it's really cool to be on this side to get to plan, how you're gonna really excite people that are holding the token. It's really neat. It's different. So, yeah. All right, dude. What else? Off the culture coin, that's basically all we did the last week. So I don't know if you managed to see any of the craziness in crypto Twitter.
No, I didn't. What happened there?
Did you see this loot project? Man, like every single other message on my Twitter feed, which is pretty wild because pretty diverse, was about loot. Did you see any of this?
I heard about it, but I didn't actually pull it up because I was 2 heads down. Fill me in. What's the 50,000-foot view?
50,000-foot view. Apparently, these were text files that basically just had attributes, and the whole idea was like, let's recreate like the ethos of a layer one like Ethereum, where people can just build on top of it without really any direction. So they basically just put these text files out in the wild and said, "Hey, community, go have fun." And like it was like all of the, I guess, creative coders got involved, and now they're building all sorts of things around loot and actually using the loot terms and breaking the loot down and building games and DAOs and exchanges for loot. Now there's derivatives of loot. I mean, it's pretty crazy. And anybody that actually, I guess, minted loot, like, because it was free, you can mint it. Then they got a derivative airdrop that's now worth like 80 grand. And the actual loot itself is worth like, I don't know. At last I checked, I think it was like 30 ETH, something like that. It's like it's really one of those, lack of better terms, one of those punk moments, right? It's so odd and so strange that I say this, like, only in the Ethereum community would something like this get off the floor. Like this is something that excites. This is what we're talking about with the community, like a community token, right? You have the right community and anything can happen. It's pretty crazy stuff.
Yeah, I definitely love when people do the derivative stuff off the thing. So one of the things I was posting in the Discord, I'm glad we the conversation went in this direction, because this was something I wanted to share with people in case they weren't aware. So one cool thing about our artwork is it's entirely SVG. SVGs, for people who don't necessarily know, it's kind of a file type that's like PNG or JPEG or whatever, but it's based on vector graphics. So what that means is that these artworks, actually, it's you can think of it more like code that's drawing the picture you're seeing in real time when you pull it up. And so what that means is that you can take those SVGs and you can just tear down the entire image down to whichever subcomponent of it that you want to be there. So you can, like, I posted a version that I had done where I tore down the entire image so it was just the circle coin. So what I kind of am hoping is, like, the cool thing about SVGs is it makes it really easy for people to do super clean derivatives. So that was kind of one of the things that I'm hoping for potentially to be part of the Burn Mint library, are like the really top end derivatives that people come up with. So I'm really excited to see what the first couple of really neato derivatives people are able to come out with, because these are SVGs, and you don't have to do that messiness with Photoshop where you try to grab the edges of things to clip it and stuff.
Cool.
But yeah, that whole aspect of community building and people going out and trying to, like, build stuff off of your thing, I think is really, really sweet. It's the total open source type.
Yeah,
it's like a new realization of open source.
Yeah, and it's like, nobody owns the IP. It's literally just, hey, some text files went out, and you can go grab them if you want. And now people that own the text files, all of a sudden there's incredible value behind those text files, and so they're like, well, maybe I should make something to make them even more valuable. And then all of a sudden you see this grassroots. This is the word I was looking at. Grassroots, natural, organic stuff happen where people are just in there building because, hey, I've got a stake in the game. This is really unique. It's never been tried before. Let's try to just throw something out in the wild and see if people come together and build the entire IP around text files. That's pretty unique.
Yeah, it sounds cool. I
Yeah.
definitely need to check that out because that sounds like right up my alley. So,
well, I was angry because when I saw it, I'm like, this is really unique. This is really cool. And you know how these things go. Like anytime something's like really unique or strange, and and then it picks any sort of buzz in crypto Twitter, you know that it's going to rocket. And so I was talking to Malachi. I'm like, hey, man, this looks like it's going to go. And so of course I did my usual where I don't buy it, right? I've got other things going on. Malachi goes out and then he sits on it, and then he's like, hey, bro, by the way, it happened again. Yeah, it happened again. It's Mike Tyson all over again.
Oh man, you missed out on the Mike Tyson one too.
I did, dude. I did. Well, because I told Malachi before we went on stream, I was telling him I wanted to watch the Mike Tyson. I wanted to watch this drop because I'm like, hey, the artist is cool, the material is awesome, and I'm like, I kind of want to see what happens here and pick one up. And he's like, just come on stream. So I came on stream, and so of course I'm sitting here blabbing, and then Malachi. He goes ahead and buys one. And later on, he's like, by the way, bro, I turned that 0.5 into 15. Just FYI.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
You know, I was going to pick one of those up, but I think I might have been a tiny bit after you guys because it was like around 1.2 or something when I took a look. But man, that was still a dumb decision on my part not picking one up because I like you said, the art was really good.
Yeah, yeah. I think that's one of those pieces that's probably going to stand the test of time. Especially the baddest men on the planet. There's 250 of them, but some of the other ones, the more rare ones, if you could pick up the full set, I still think those are, I guess it really depends what Mike does with, how much he promotes it. But it's an awesome artist that's really growing. So, that was a cool drop. What else? What else can I fill you in there was like 70 different PFP drops. I don't know if we have time to go through all
crazy,
those.
Man. It's crazy. I'm curious to see how this momentum holds out.
Dude, it's like, me, I'm a big beefier. And so I've got pools and I got a farm and harvest all over the place. And these PFPs are literally OpenSea, I think was number 7 gas consumer when I was looking, and which is like unbelievably wild when you think about all the arbitraging that's happening and constant interactions with the chain. And OpenSea with just NFT drops is managing to be one of the largest gas consumers. And I'm thinking like the gas is it's steady state at like 70, I think is probably about right. I keep waiting for it to drop down. I like to do my operations late at night when it drops down to about 40, but I haven't seen that in a couple weeks. It's crazy.
I think it's barely dropping below 100 now.
Yeah.
Like I was trying to look to see what time I could push the contract out, and like on Thursday, Friday, it never dropped below about 140 or so. So yeah, it's definitely crazy. Yeah, OpenSea, they're like doing like something like $3 billion a month of volume right now, or at least in August they did like $3 billion. And I saw them as number 1 gas consumer.
Did you really?
At some point, yeah.
Wow.
Which is crazy.
That's just beyond insane. And then I think Axie's, I saw they did $900 million in, was it like a month? They did $900 million of revenue in a month.
Jeez.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's like peak wow. Peak wow. Like the whole market's going insane, man. Yeah. What else? What other big happenings? IMX is dropping soon. The token for Immutable X, it's dropping soon. So that's high on my radar. So I think that platform
governance token or what?
Yeah, it's going to be a governance token for the platform. Yeah.
Okay.
So, and I think it's dropping. I think the folks that are actually buying into the, I guess for lack of better terms, ICO. It's not really, but it's I think it's supposed to be something like a $30 million valuation, something along those lines. It's September 8th is when it's happening. September 8th. So it's supposed to be, I think, a $30 million valuation, which is wildly undervalued for what I think it's going to. Not financial advice, by the way. But it is definitely on my radar to be watching the secondary markets and pick some up when they hit Uniswap and SushiSwap and all the decentralized exchanges.
Have you looked into that SEC thing with Uniswap yet?
I haven't. I saw an article, but I'm not super concerned for Uniswap because it's again, I don't really understand how they're posting, but I think it's a front end. And then on top of that, they airdrop to users of the platform. So, I mean, if you're the SEC, I'm not sure how strong your case is really going to be. They've basically done absolutely everything right. So I was telling someone the other day, I'm basically hoping selfishly that the market overreacts and sells Uniswap, because I had a pretty big bag and then I sold, and now I'd be happy to get back in on a pullback. So
makes sense. Yeah.
yeah.
It did seem a little spurious whenever I read about it. It's interesting to me that they would target Uniswap though, which is kind of like the least shady of all the exchanges. So it's like somebody's either trying to do the thing where you push the lawsuit so that the thing becomes like established as a proper order of business, or otherwise it's them trying to bring the big guns and let's go after the one that everybody thinks is the most legitimate and then tear them down to put the kibosh on the whole thing. I think if it ends up being the second one, I think that'll be a little bit of a disappointment for everybody, but hopefully, I don't know, Uniswap seems to be a pretty good representation of the DeFi space. So it would really be a shame if they get hurt.
No, I don't think so. Like I said, I'm in the camp that they're going off of after Uniswap because their treasury is massive, and so that's probably what's called the most attention. But it's the best possible scenario because they've basically done everything, at least from what I can tell, following them for a while, about as good as you can do it. So I'm actually pretty positive about the whole situation and hoping for a pullback. Yo, Mally, what's going on, man? Oh, I think you're muted. You're muted. Not gonna make it. Not gonna make it.
Not gonna make it. Like after this week, I was like, you know what? I've never watched this show as a fan, and I was like, let's take a break. Let's watch oh, now I'm getting red. Now I'm getting red.
All right. I want everybody to know the truth is Malachi didn't want to come on because I had this shirt on. He was so angry.
Well, we were talking earlier to this other team, which is super exciting.
Super exciting.
And now old Johnny stealing JPEGs. I want to say just thank you. Thank you to Mike and John and Rob and Pio. Like we couldn't have done this. And it's not sold out yet, and we have to deliver, right? Like we did this to grow the community, and not just our community, but all the communities. Like our job is to help everyone make NFTs mainstream, right? Like this is, we've talked about this a couple times. I was too young for the internet to take advantage of that, and I was too naive to take advantage when Bitcoin launched early. And you don't get lightning in a bottle twice in your life. And once we saw NFTs, it just clicked. And we were lucky that we had a friendship and camaraderie built over 20 years to have trust that we could go and do this thing. And now, we met Pio, and we met Danny, we met Nick, we met Nevin, Corey, Trey, all these people, Sven, so many, Joff, I could go on and on, I'm sorry if I leave anyone out, but so many people have influenced NFT culture. I mean, lucky one. There's we could just go on and on and on screen. All these people who've already built lifetime memories for me personally through all of this. Paper D. I'm just and I'm sorry if I don't say names. It's not an Oscar speech, but it's just our job now is we're getting started. This is the starting shot. This isn't we're done. This is okay, this is real. Let's go. Let's build community, and let's show everyone else what cool contracts look like. Let's make dope contracts that provide value to the holders of those contracts. Let's inspire Epic Games and Coca-Cola and everyone that if they want to make NFTs, they have to do cool stuff with it. And this is a rare opportunity for us. And we're lucky that we have 2,000 people on Discord, 11,000 on Twitter, a few thousand on YouTube. But if you think about how small we are and how early we built this thing to kind of hold ourselves accountable. And I just have to say, both of you worded it way better than I could have. I'm glad I wasn't here because I would have train wrecked y'all or bulldozed through. But I watched it so long. I was like,
but you are here.
I have to hop on because as a fan, I just I realized the one thing that we did miss is saying thank you. And for me, I just want to say thank you to everyone who's already supported the community, and thank you to our wives, and thank you to our kids, and thank you to our friends who we've sacrificed relationships for, not necessarily to build a token, but over the last 9 months, we've sacrificed friendships to build a community and make new friends, which is a blessing. And I know some of us have gone through some of the hardest times in our life over the last 9 months, and some of us have had a great run. And like, it's so interesting that like the positivity of NFTs and the joy and everything that we've had is just like really, really cool. And so I just want to say, you know what? Is that our Steve?
Probably is. I love it. I love it.
I just, I want to give a special shout out to my boy Ferguson. And I love you. And to Cody and Donnie, and like, man, we're leaving so many people out. Like, just like, but that's the whole point, is like, this has been, and I mean, we still have a third to sell out, right? And we view this as a success because this isn't a PFP. Like, we know the forge mechanics and the value that are going to come are going to be awesome. And we have a contract that's best in class, and we're going to do some really cool stuff. And, I hope others are inspired by this, and I hope that other communities grow. Like, my view is like, I hope people, if we're the biggest NFT community 5 years from now, we did a bad job. Like, I want us to be successful, but I want everything to be an NFT in the future. And I want everyone to be excited about this. And if we can help grow, accelerate, and onboard, offboard people that they want to go do their own thing, let's do it. Let's fucking do it. Like, NFTs are the future, and this is just the beginning. So I didn't want to come derail everything, but I had to. You started talking shit with your shirt, talking shit about Tyson. That story is not true. I told him when I bought it at 0.6, and he doesn't buy anything. No. He doesn't buy anything.
That's not true.
I tell him over and over, like,
FUD.
Hey, you know what? You could be
FUD.
wearing an ape with your own shirt right now, but you didn't listen to me, did you?
Bro, I am, bro. It's right here. This is my ape right here, bro.
I'm gonna contact that same. I'm gonna snoop on John's wallet, and I'm gonna contact that same company that made the knockoff ape shirt, and I'm gonna have them make a knockoff of something in John's wallet.
Like, I think John only has Micah's stuff.
That's not true, bro.
Yeah, actually,
I got you.
Hey, but I'm always here to pump Aku anytime.
John, I want to ask you a question. Can I ask you a question?
Bro? Sure.
Can I be real for a second, Hamilton style?
Yeah. What's up?
Did you buy our drop?
Bro, I did.
All right. That's all I wanted to know. Thank you. You're turning red now.
I was muted.
John's like, I'm gonna get those freebies. I don't need to buy it. No, I would say, like, for me, the one of the biggest things, and definitely I echo your thank yous. Like, I had a bunch of people do it, like code reviews of the contract and stuff beforehand. Talk to Joff about it. Talk to Paul from Top Dog. I kind of did a review of the functionality with Sven and Danny. So definitely thank you to those guys. But yeah, for me, like, kind of circling way back to John's earlier conversation about people building off other people. Like, I really wanted to set out and put a contract out there that would set a good example and kind of motivate people to build even cooler things. So yeah, for me, like, this was about, we've been preaching this for 9 months. This was about us showing that we can actually do what we're talking about. So I feel like, for me, that makes this whole thing a success. We got it done, and it's out there, and it'll be out there for people to, criticize or, leverage to do even cooler things. And of course, if anybody sees anything, let me just throw this segue. If anybody sees anything that they think I could have done better, like, please come join our tech home in our Discord and tell me about it. I definitely want to know, like, if you know how to make gas cheaper on my contract, or like something that you think you would have done better, I would be super interested to hear about it. I think we need more knowledge sharing in this space. Like, there's a lot of good tutorials for how to do like an entry level contract, but there's not really a lot of out there on how to do an actual production. I have I want this thing to be solid type contract. People are kind of hoarding, the people who are doing this stuff are kind of hoarding the knowledge a little bit. And there are some good projects out there like the Boring Banana Co. on GitHub where you can kind of get a taste of what's out there. But I just really wanted to try to put something out there, encourage people to talk about it, and then hopefully maybe we can kind of tear down those walls and have more people be able to access the space as developers.
Awesome. All right, man. Malachi bounced. I've got dinner plans with my wife tonight. So any last parting thoughts before we say goodbye?
No, man, just thank you to everybody in the community, everybody who supported us. I really appreciate it. If you buy one or you don't, I don't really care. Like, come join our community and be a part of it and contribute your ideas. Like, that's really all we care about. If you buy a token, that's awesome too. And thank you very much either way.
Yeah, thanks, guys. All right, this is NFT Culture, and we're out. Bye, guys.